Hi everyone, I'm going to be starting in just a minute, but I just wanted to let you know this is our first episode, so kind of how this works. This is a casual, relaxed chat, not a very formal, professional, hopefully it sounds professional, presentation. I do have slides. It's more for your reference, but absolutely not necessary for you to watch them. So if you want to just grab a cup of coffee and put your headphones on and do your work, that's absolutely fine. Just listen to me. Um, and then later on, this will be recorded and posted. So you can always come back if there's something specific you wanted to look at. The slides do reference where I get my information from. So that's about it. But so anyways, it is 10 o'clock. Hello. It's 10 a.m. on Tuesday, March 31st, 2020, and this is the first episode of 10 on Tuesdays. I'm Holly Hoffman, your host and the CEO of Sales and Income Tax Advisory Network. I want to just welcome everyone. Very excited about this project. I invite you to join me at 10 on Tuesdays to have a casual chat about a variety of business topics. We have a Facebook group, 10 on Tuesdays, that I hope you join to suggest topics of interest to you and to further discuss things we talk about in the webinar. Today's show is about issues related to COVID-19, but it wasn't until last Friday that I knew we needed to talk about audit policy during the COVID pandemic. So I haven't heard much focus or attention on audit during this time, and it's just really important we talk about that today. I want to end our conversation on a positive note. So I do want to touch on what we're doing to find a path forward in this new world we have found ourselves in. And I want to point out to you, or I want to point you in the direction of some other helpful resources. So like I just mentioned, my format includes a webinar, but that's for your reference. You don't have to follow the slides. So grab your cup of coffee, put on your headset or earbuds, do some light work while listening. And these will be recorded and made available to you. So if something caught your attention and you need to revisit the topic, you can always look at the reference materials on the slides and listen to the information again. Before we dive into today's topic, I just want to give you a little background on myself. I've worked most of my life in the private sector, so I'm familiar with that, doing accounting work for several types of businesses. I used to live in the Milwaukee area. I decided to go back to school to get my bachelor's in accounting, and I went to work for Wisconsin Department of Revenue after I graduated. And there I was a field auditor for 4 years. Then I got my master's in accounting while field auditing and got promoted to sales tax specialist and coordinator of the Wisconsin Department of Revenue Speakers Bureau. So I worked mainly out of the Madison headquarters the last 4 years with administering sales and excise tax law. Throughout my entire time with DOR, though, all 8 years, I traveled around Wisconsin speaking to businesses, associations, and tax professionals about tax law. And that really is my passion, helping businesses and people navigate tax law. Last year, I decided it was time to make a change and to work directly on behalf of businesses and people. So I partnered up with MBE CPAs to create my Sales and Income Tax Advisory Network. My goal is to create a network of support for small businesses by working through tax advisors, associations, suppliers, service industries to provide resources and education about sales and multi-state tax issues. The great thing about partnering with MBE is the network of affiliates we have to provide coordinated solutions based on your needs, anywhere from HR, payroll, software solutions to tax planning, wealth management, and real estate management. We're all separate companies, so we focus on our own specialty, but we have that support and options out there of additional family that you can trust. So enough about that. I hate talking about me. Let's get to today's topic. So COVID-19 started having an impact on Wisconsin businesses, starting in February, mid-February. It was in March that some businesses started transitioning employees to home offices if possible. But it was last week, March 24th, when Governor Evers implemented Emergency Order Number 12, better known as the Safer at Home Order. And this required non-essential businesses and certain operations to cease, except for basic operations. Now, last Friday, March 27th, the Secretary of DOR, Peter Barca, released DOR's guidance for small business tax relief. Barca's introductory statement with the guidance indicated that DOR employees are coming up with new ideas every day to care for and help taxpayers of Wisconsin. And just like the private sector, DOR is adapting by the hour to the impacts of COVID-19, just like you. So I want you to keep this in mind as we talk about things, because it means you need to play a role in our government agencies responding and adapting to the situation just like you are. So I want you to keep in mind you have an equal role in this. I'm just going to focus on audit-related guidance DOR provided, but they provided other information about income tax and other tax relief with that. So first of all, DOR is not doing field audits or in-person audit meetings, but that doesn't mean they're not auditing. DOR indicates that they will generally not start new field audits of small businesses, and when they say generally, it means they still do, but it's probably not as prevalent or common as it used to be. They do reserve the right to start audits during this time, and also they're continuing to work on audits already in progress. So anyone who has an ongoing audit, that doesn't stop because of the situation. Part of the changes, like they were talking about, DOR talking about that they don't do field audits, they are still continuing to work on things, it's just remotely. So as a result, taxpayers under audit will need to provide records electronically, meaning you got to scan your records that aren't already in an electronic form, or you're going to be needing to ship them to a DOR office for review. And this is so burdensome. I think you can imagine. I've done field auditing for 4 years, and it's burdensome for taxpayers or businesses to just gather the documentation. And when I would go into the office to look at the records, I mean, 16 boxes of records would be nothing. I would think that would be nothing as an auditor looking at that. So just imagine thinking about scanning or shipping all your records during this time. So DOR's guidance states that the department understands that there may be instances where the taxpayers desire to begin or continue an audit while their employees and records are available and respective staffs have capacity. In these instances, taxpayers may postpone audits or request extensions to respond to requests for information. And then DOR directs you to talk to your auditor. The same government that's forced businesses to close and employees to work from home are going to continue to audit. They are allowing you to postpone or request additional time to gather your records, but this is tricky, and I want to talk more about that in a little bit. DOR offers that if taxpayers are concerned about accumulating interest during this forced shutdown, the health crisis, taxpayers may volunteer to amend the returns and pay the amount they estimate that they owe. This assumes that you know what they, the auditor, will find. You volunteer to self-audit. You pay what you guess you owe, and hope DOR will be willing to audit for overpayment once this ends. By the way, voluntarily paying the assessment was always an option. If you were under audit or an appeal process, DOR offers that you can pay to stop interest from accumulating. And if you win your appeal and you overpaid your assessment, then DOR refunds the overpayment with 3% interest. I mean, that was always available. My issue with that is protecting taxpayers in this situation. First of all, government's the one who impacted your ability, and I realize we're doing this for health and safety standards, but the point is the same government that's auditing you impacted your ability to have staff and revenue. Even if you're an essential business, and I work with a lot of businesses that are essential, you're still impacted because you're only receiving business from other essential businesses and only for essential operations. Second, you have very limited staff, a very difficult time communicating, working on something as comprehensive as a 4+ year audit of your business. Third, this isn't a time when you have extra cash on hand that you can just turn over to DOR until at some time after the crisis, you may or may not get a refund. And last, DOR does not audit to determine overpayment. That hasn't been their policy for some years now. That's your responsibility and expected of you. DOR audits to determine underpayment and to find an assessment. So I am not sure if they're going to change their policy, but what assurance do we have that DOR will kindly do a complete audit to determine the accurate amount of tax owed when they resume the audit after this crisis? Let me get to my final concern, and that's the statute of limitations. Once an audit notice is sent to a business, an audit period, that's what period DOR is intending to review, has been determined. So the statute of limitations begins running on that period. So right now, an audit period, if you received an audit notice today, your audit period would be through the 2016 year through 2019, 4-year period, unless you're under 6-year audit, but let's just say it's a normal 4-year audit period. So at this point, if you request a delay or postponement of your audit, that audit period does not change. DOR says that taxpayers are encouraged to cooperate in extending those statutes. If you don't extend, DOR will close your audit with estimated assessment based on whatever information they have or they don't have. And then the taxpayer would have to appeal and provide records to get the accurate amount of tax due. So what I want to stress in this is that if you receive an audit notice now, literally at the shutdown or right before the shutdown, I don't want you to just postpone the audit. I would like a discussion of whether or not the audit period can be changed if necessary. DOR has a publication, Pub 114, for your Wisconsin Taxpayer Bill of Rights. You have a right to pay only the required tax, a prompt refund of overpaid taxes, fair treatment during tax audits, and reasonable tax collection arrangements. There's more rights. I just pulled out the ones that to me really fit this situation. And the Taxpayer Bill of Rights also says the administration should be both reasonable and diligent. It should be conducted with as little delay as possible and with great courtesy and considerateness. It should never try to overreach, and it should be reasonable within the bounds of the law. And my argument is that within the bounds of the law, right now with the shutdown and essential businesses required to close, if things don't reopen to a point where businesses can get back to normal business, employees in the office, if you received an audit notice, when you asked for a postponement, I want to see a postponement based on when the audit can begin, when businesses are back open, that the audit period adjusts accordingly. So if businesses are allowed to be back to normal and have staff on hand by October, and we all hope that it does, I'm just saying that the audit period would still be 2016 through 2019, because reasonably an auditor could finish the audit in time within the statute of limitations. But if things don't reopen until after October, or there's still adverse effects of this situation, this pandemic, past October, I would like to see when people negotiate to postpone their audit, that there is consideration that that 2016 year would drop off. You'd still have a 4-year audit period, but it would be 2017 through 2020 versus 2016 through 2019. Why is that important to you? Because interest accrues from that beginning period. If you have an assessment in 2016, you're going to be paying interest on that. And the longer that things are delayed, that's farther back that you go. Plus, DOR can choose to make it a 5-year audit. So say it's into 2021 before they resume the audit, they can add 2020 as a year onto your audit. So you'd have a 5-year period, 2016 through 2020. So I think it would be reasonable to stipulate, and DOR admitted that, you know, this is uncharted territory. I think it's reasonable within your rights to ask that the audit period be adjusted and not static based on when they sent the letter out. I don't feel honestly that they should even be sending out audit notices during this period. I don't know how they can shut us down and then continue to audit, and it's just not a reasonable situation according to the bounds of the law. So if you are under audit or receive an audit notice, you know, I want you to talk to the auditor. You know, is your business closed? Are your staff working from home? Are you consumed with dealing with the impact of COVID-19? Having difficulty obtaining documentation? Is providing documentation, scanning it, or shipping it, is that an unnecessary burden? I mean, the whole reason that there's field audit, why that existed, was because it was too burdensome for taxpayers to provide the documentation to an office auditor. So I am concerned about that. Can you postpone the audit to start at a later date? What works for you in your business situation? What you should be asking for as relief during this time should be based on your specific needs. And I would ask for what's reasonable during this time. And I also am just concerned about what folks in general are not going to think of to ask for. And I really, really encourage you to reach out to someone, to a professional, and get advice or get help. Understand the full ramifications, what you're willing to agree with the government. Once you make an agreement, once you sign those extensions of statute of limitations, you're locked in. This is uncharted territory, as DOR said. So ask for a true postponement of the audit, which should include adjusting the audit period based on when businesses are allowed to get back to work, in the true sense of the word of getting back to work. You know, exercise your rights, those that are established in Pub 114. Anyone that's currently under audit or receives an audit notice during this time, please reach out to people that you trust. Reach out to me. An initial consultation, an initial phone call with me is absolutely free. I mean, at least discuss what's going on and get some advice. And anyone that hires me for audit defense during the shutdown, the whole point of my conversation today is that there shouldn't be audit going on. So my whole point would be to defer it in a reasonable manner. But if you are under audit, I'm offering special rates just because of the situation. So the first 5 hours would be at $200 an hour, and then the second 5 hours would be absolutely free. This just isn't the time to take your rights lightly. Audit is a serious situation, and agreements you enter into, again, you'll be locked into. So I know that was a heavy conversation, and it's frustrating. I get very passionate about it. I get very upset about it. I worked at DOR. I get the people, the auditor themselves are, you know, they're following policy, and I get it. And I don't want anyone to be angry at them or not try to work with them, and I would be respectful and work with them as well. But there's rights and things that you can push back on, and I think a lot of times people are afraid to do so. And I'm just saying, don't be afraid. I think they're going to be willing to work with us, but you have to know what to ask for. So on a more positive, uplifting note, several meetings that I've been in on, so many scary things and changing things have been discussed. But a common theme is emerging, and that's finding a path forward. And I don't want people to lose sight of while they're trying to deal with day to day. I want you to start thinking long term, and long term maybe the next couple months, but finding a path forward in this crisis. From what I understand, this is going to change the business world forever. It's kind of like the 9/11 of 2020. You may need to alter products and services to meet demands. I mean, even myself, I'm changing how I reach people, what services I'm offering, what people really need at this time. Figuring that out, really thinking about that. Adapting your sales and service delivery methods. Just what can you do? Restaurants have been doing great with the takeout and delivery, things like that. It's just been a way to get by right now. I remember after the last economic downturn, that's the period I was auditing when I was an auditor. And just seeing the creative ways that people, I mean, that was hard, an economic hardship on so many businesses. And just so many ways that they adapted and found ways, new revenue streams to get them by to pay their bills and move them forward. And then how they incorporated in that into their business going forward. So just adapting is something to think about, how you can find new ways to serve people, new ways to connect with other businesses and with your customers, and really with your employees within. I've seen this bringing a lot of people together, and that's great. Using your time to your advantage, using this time to your advantage. I've found that I'm super busy trying to adjust, but also I'm taking the time to learn new skills and find ways to improve how I can reach people, or brushing up on law changes, things like that. So whatever is related to your business, or especially for your employees, if you can provide them access, there's tons of free training available right now. So many people are doing webinars for free, other things. Make that available to your employees, or look and search that out. Some resources we have, MBE has a website that's Coronavirus Resource Center. Look for your chambers of commerce. Definitely be looking for government agencies, what their guidance is right now. That's a pretty obvious one. I know right now the immediate issue for businesses is employees and HR issues, payroll issues, loans and funding to get them through. Affiliate company to me, Workforce Solutions, has on April 2nd 2 times that they're doing free webinars, continuing to navigate the chaos. They had webinars last week, very informative, very useful, covering a bunch of topics, taxpayer rebates, SBA funding, federal disaster unemployment program, things like that. Just really useful information. I highly suggest checking that out. That was Workforce Solutions, and you can find their information on MBE CPA's website. Of course, you can use me as a resource. Like I said, email, call me. Conversation is free. Some of you on here are already working with me and have talked to me. You know that I'm willing to work with you and talk through things. We do offer a sales and use tax compliance assessment. That is like an audit in the field at your business by me, by a friendly person, and we can look at your audit risk and any issues you may have. Of course, we're not doing them right now, but if you schedule one for fall, we'll give you a discounted rate. Those are just really great because people who come to me or talk to me, they ask what they know to ask, and this is my issue with the audit situation, and we'll just pay what you estimate you owe. People don't know what to ask. People don't know what they missed. So when I'm out in the field looking at your business and talking with you about what you do and kind of looking through your records, it's not a full in-depth audit, but enough. I notice and see things that you wouldn't think to see. And that's when I see areas for refund, areas where you're overpaying tax, simplification of your procedures, your process for determining your tax at the end of each month or quarter or whatever period you have. It's just a really nice way to get that auditor's point of view on what you do. And next Tuesday, we'll be doing this again. I'm going to open up for questions in a second here. But next Tuesday, we'll do this again at 10 a.m., same place, same time. And I'm going to talk about Nexus. Do you have sales into other states, and how does that impact you? What should you look for? I've been noticing that a lot of people are registered unnecessarily in other states after the Wayfair decision. And I'm seeing people who always had Nexus due to physical presence in other states and didn't even realize it and aren't registered. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. It's just something that people don't understand as well as being registered in your own state, and it's overwhelming to some people. So I just wanted to talk that through next week. So I'm going to unmute you folks and let you ask some questions. I know some people had questions. Careful because I'm unmuting you. Did anyone have questions out there? Jim or Mary or Michael? All right. Well, thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending time with us this Tuesday. And I hope all of you are doing well, and that we're back next week. So thank you.